Thanks for joining Solicited, a podcast hosted by me, Nichole,
And me, Caitlin.
where we discuss all things related to being a 30-something millennial.
So, Nichole, let me tell you how I know I'm a 30-something-year-old millennial this week. Back in the day, I had absolutely no problem going back to sleep if I was tired. But fast forward to being in your 30s and having an almost 5-month-old at home who likes to wake me up anywhere between 5:30 in the morning and 7:30 in the morning. Well, he woke me up hella early the other day, and I got him back to sleep in an instant. But for myself, it's like almost like your body's like, screw you. You can't go back to sleep. And I know you don't ever have this problem because I've known you my whole life. Like, you can fall asleep by the snap of a finger. But for me, it's like my brain, since entering my 30s and since becoming a mother, is going 100 miles per hour that I can't put myself back to sleep.
So is it just because of how early it was? Or if this had happened like in the middle of the night, could you have gone back to sleep?
I think it's a hit or miss. It depends on how exhausted I am, I would say. And if my husband is snoring, lots of external factors here. I just think my body was like, oh, you can function on 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep. You've done it for, months now. So I had already gotten 5-ish hours of sleep, and it was just like, let's start the day. And that was not my way of starting a day.
No, 5-something is too early always to start the day. But will you nap? Are you a person who can nap later on in the day?
Yeah, but the problem is coinciding my child's nap with my wanted nap as well, because I didn't realize sometimes when I'm so tired, those first couple months of having a newborn at home, I didn't realize it was possible to fall asleep sitting up. And I definitely have done that more times than I would like to admit. Um, Falling asleep, rocking with the baby in your arms. And thankfully, Mike has made sure everything was okay, or I wake myself up because my brain doesn't ever really shut off, I feel like.
Well, that's a serious question I have. Do you fall asleep with your child in your arms sitting straight up?
Have done that before, yes.
You
Yes.
worry you're gonna drop your baby?
Um, yes, it's like a safety hazard for sure. I when I sit with him, usually I have a pillow underneath him. So like most of the weight I'm holding him, but like on a pillow. So my arms are still like in a locked position, I guess. And I haven't done that in months. But those first couple weeks home when I was
Yeah.
sleeping 45 minutes a night, yeah, really, really hard because I just can't fall back asleep. It's something about my brain. And I think it was because it was that close to being in the morning time. And let's just be real, I'm not a morning person. And I feel like when you get to your 30s, you should be and your mom, you should be a morning person, but I'm just not.
That is a fallacy. We were actually talking with some of our friends maybe a month ago about this, and they're older. They have 4 kids between the two of them. And they tell us on the weekends that she will not get up until like 10 or 11. And I love it because everybody always acts like when you have kids, you automatically become a morning person. And they were like, no, not true at all. And I just think that won't be me either. I've never been a morning person. I don't think I will ever be a morning person. I think I will suffer and then I will go back to sleeping until noon on the weekends.
See, but like, hold on. You drink coffee, so you can wake up and drink a cup of coffee and probably get some energy and feel revived. I don't drink coffee, so I just have to, wake up and be ready for the day. And my friends always gave me a hard time for not drinking coffee, but still, I'm like kind of like the Energizer Bunny. I can function off of little to no sleep, but if I go too long with little to no sleep, then I crash and burn.
Yeah, I can rally for like a weekend, right? Like I could be like almost no sleep for like a weekend, but then at like day like 3, no, I've hit my max. I have to sleep and get back to a routine.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to be more efficient as a morning person, I guess, especially because my mornings, my mornings are going to be mornings with a child for a long time. And being the primary parent, especially in the morning time, hard.
But do you think once your kid can like walk and understand basic commands that your child could like get a Pop Tart and turn on cartoons and you could sleep for another? I'm being for real. And
I
like
know you
be like
are.
self-sustained for the first like hour or two of the day.
That's a great question. And because Mike works at home, I'm going to try and use that to my advantage for sure. Um, Also, they've created these like cool things. It's like a traffic light and it's red, yellow, green, and you set it for a specific time and your toddler knows not to get out of bed until the light turns green. I think I'm going to have to be one of
Brilliant.
those parents.
I
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think I've just accepted the fact that I'm going to be tired for the rest of my life until, I can have self-sufficient children, but, we'll get
So just
there.
a couple years then, probably. You'll be tired
Yeah,
for a couple years.
until I have another baby. So then it's going to be like repeat.
Oh, sorry.
So speaking of sleep, that is something that I have definitely fought about with Mike. It's like one of the stupidest fights that we've ever been in because I don't know about y'all, but Mike can fall asleep in 2 seconds, pretty much anywhere. It is so frustrating to me because my body is not like that. And so we go to bed and say that again, we'll use the baby as an example. The monitor is in our bedroom and the baby is crying, but he could sleep right through it. And I am instantly like, burp, awake, all of this. Definitely a stupid fight that Mike and I have gotten into, though, is because he can fall asleep in 3 seconds. And then if the baby wakes up in the middle of the night, I told him, I was like, you got to go and change diapers and do things in the middle of the night because your body has the superpower of falling asleep, back asleep within 30 seconds. But me, as soon as my feet hit the ground, I've already added like 20 minutes of being able to fall back asleep onto my when the head hits the pillow after that, if that makes any sense at all.
Yes, it does. Nick is the same way. I'll be like, let's go to sleep. He's like, oh, I'm not tired. And I'm like, you know that we'll get in bed and he'll be asleep before me and I'm the sleepy one. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a dude thing. Do you guys ever fight about, so here's some other sleep fights Nick and I get into. He does snore.
A ditto. Have
So,
that.
like 2 weeks ago, I legit told him, I said, you woke me up 3 times last night with your snoring. You got in the middle of the bed, you faced me, and then you were snoring in my face. And I was pissed.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's legit. And I told him you need to work that out. And then the other one of the other stupidest fights we have gotten into, but it's legitimate, is he'll set an alarm for like 5 o'clock in the morning. Nick doesn't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So he'll just hit snooze for every 9 minutes for like 2 fucking hours. So I'm waking up every 9 minutes for 2 hours. And then I have to get up because he has like flexible start. I do not. My ass has to be at work at 8 o'clock. And so then I've been up for like 3 fucking hours on and off. And he's like fast asleep while I'm getting ready for work, and he'll show up to work at like 9 o'clock, and I get mad. We had a serious talk about that also 2 weeks ago.
So I'm going to chalk this up to, I think that is a stupid fight that probably every couple has because Mike and I both did that when I was still working as a teacher too. Like I set myself an initial alarm and then a like, oh crap, you're going to be late alarm. And he would do this. He does the same thing. It drives me even more crazy being a mom now because he'll set his alarm to wake up for work, hit snooze, turn it off, and he has the most obnoxious alarm. It's like the piano one on the iPhone. It's like, and it like sends me up out of my bed sometimes because it just startles me so much. But yeah, I feel like there's always one person in a relationship is maybe there's one person that's the one or two alarms and you're done and then you've got the snoozers. But funny enough is I feel like Mike and I are both snoozers.
I don't have the luxury of being a snoozer during the week. I have 2 alarms. I set a 7 o'clock every day and then a 7:10. A 7:10 is like, bitch, get your ass up. Like I will be late if I get up past 7:10. So that's it. I got 2 alarms. One that's like, ooh, it's about time. And then one that's like, it is time. Also, I have a basic alarm. So it sounds like Mike has this like piano alarm. Nick has ruined many a good songs because he will put his alarm as like a song. And then I
Oh
just hear this bullshit
gosh.
song at 6 o'clock in the morning on every 9 fucking minutes. And I'm like, I don't ever want to hear Justin Bieber again. Or he had this really good song that he had another one. And I was like, I can't hear it anymore because you've ruined it. So
It's almost, that just reminds me of like the meme that goes around. It's like, early 2000s when you first got your cell phone and you pay for ringtones, and now as
bring
a
back.
30 something year old adult, like you don't pay for the music ringtones anymore. My phone is always on silent or do not disturb, so my phone never rings.
Same. Every time I lose my phone, I'm screwed because Nick's like, I'll call you. I'm like, it's not going to help me, but go ahead. It's always on silent. Yeah.
Hey, I found a trick around that, is that if you mark Nick as your favorite, like a person in your favorites, your phone will ring when your favorites person calls. So like it's like an in case of emergency thing. I only have Mike in my favorites, so for
If you
situations
lose your
like that.
phone.
Oh yeah.
Well, also, if you have an Apple Watch, you can just ping your phone.
Yeah.
That's normally what I end up doing, but that's a good hack. I need to list Nick as my favorite.
Also, if your Apple Watch isn't dead, that happens to me all the time. When I can't find my phone, my Apple Watch is dead and I'm like screwed.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Talk to me about a stupid fight that you and Nick get in.
Besides letting the alarm go off, we have been in many a stupid fight. So we have too many dogs. We have 3 dogs, and I'm really particular about where the dog beds go. And Nick is not. He'll just like literally throw them in the middle of the living room, and then you'll have to like finagle your way around these dog beds to get out in and out of the living room. And he and I have been in many a fights where I'm just like, why did you put the dog beds here? And then like go and move them. And he's just like, I don't really see why this is an important thing to fight about, but I feel strongly about it because I'm like, they should line, like you should keep the walkway open. He doesn't feel that way.
I think I would have to see it to decide whose side I would be on for this argument, but I get it. And you're also kind of a particular person about certain things like that. Maybe in like, just because it's in your pathway of walking. Totally understand.
The other thing is every now and then we'll get in fights like steadily about I'm ready to leave. We're going to leave at 10. Okay, Nichole, we're going to leave at 10. Nick, we're leaving in 5 minutes. Okay, he's still in the bathroom doing his hair, getting cute for the day. And I'm like, we said we were going to leave. And so then I'll walk outside to put the pressure on. I'll be like, well, I'll meet you in the car. And then he gets mad at me for abandoning him to the car. And we do this to each other where I'm like, I need 5 more minutes. And he's like, okay, I'll meet you in the car. And I'm like, how fucking dare you put that sort of pressure on me? So that's something we do to each other that is aggravating.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, here to say, Mike and I 3000% do that too. He calls me a sloth, a turtle, whatever slow animal you can think of, he's called it to me, a snail. And, you know, pre having kids, I definitely was still like slow, but now have a child and have that much more things to take. Like, he'll grab the baby and walk out to the car, but he forgot the baby backpack, or I need a water with me anytime I leave my house. I do not leave my house without a cup of water. So like, ways you can help me get out of the house faster is fill my water cup, put my purse and the baby backpack next to it, like the door, and then I'll probably move quicker. So that is definitely a fight we get in all the time about being a slowpoke. And he has even gotten to the truck multiple times and come back in the house and be like, what are you doing? What's taking so long? And also, here's the other thing. I like, this is some TMI for you. I feel like I get like nervous pee, like when I don't know if there's going to be a bathroom like soon enough. Like, and this is totally post having a child, even more so, is like, oh my gosh, I have to go. Like, I need to try and go to the bathroom now because I don't know the next time that I'm going to be able to go. So I try to go to the bathroom, and like I said, I have to have my water, I have to have all the things ready for me before I leave the house. So
I'm also Nick. So I feel like in every relationship, there's a pokey person. There's one pokey person, and I look over my shoulder to make sure Nick's not like creeping in. But I do think he's the pokey person in our relationship. What I will say is I'm pokey about beverages. So I am notorious for being on time, but then going, oh, can we stop and get a coffee? I really need a beverage. But I'm at least in the car on time. So I think I get props for that.
Yeah, I hate to admit this, and I swear if Mike listens to this podcast, ugh, I'm definitely the slow person in our relationship, and I really hate admitting that. But I just like want to have everything, and he sometimes if we're going out to dinner and he's trying to like look nice and do all this, I can beat him getting ready a lot of times. But if we're
Same.
really,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
swear he's got to like find the right watch. He asks me more times than I ever ask him about like, does this look good together? Or like, do you like these shoes with this outfit? And then he goes and does his hair and he's like, did I miss any spots with this gel? And I'm like, dude, who freaking cares? I know what you look like. Like, I'm married to you.
We married princesses. I rag on Nick so bad because he's always like, oh, can you help me pick out what to wear? And I'm like, no, I can't. And then he'll ask me if I had a penny for every time he said, oh, how do you think my hair looks? I'm like, oh my God, it looks fine. It looks fine. You can only style it one way. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, but any other adventure, like going to the grocery store, going to the park, like whatever, he's definitely first. But if we're going out to dinner, there's a high chance that the pokey person, when you're trying to look good, is Michael. So, oh my gosh.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. So I asked Mike to try and remember some of the stupidest fights that we've ever been in. And he remembers the places that we had fights, AKA restaurants, where we've gotten into disagreements. And a lot of them were like when we were dating in the beginning. But he has no freaking clue what they were even about. And I asked him, I was like, do you remember what we fought about? He's like, absolutely. I just think it was stupid. I remember it was stupid. But he's like, I remember we got into a fight there. So I don't know if that happens to you.
Are you guys the type of couple that will fight in public?
I would say discreetly because like we both like try to like check our tone like when we're in public, like, and if he gets mad at me for like snapping, he'll just shoot me a look and I'll shoot that look right back at him. But we try not to fight in public, and we try not to fight in front of our families and stuff either, because
that's the other question I was going to ask you. Are you guys the type that'll like show up to a family affair or like with a dinner with your friends and everybody's like, oh shit, they're fighting?
No. Has it happened? Yes. Does it happen very often? No. Not at all. And that's something that we discussed when we started dating, is like kind of some non-negotiables. And I just think about you need to problem solve your own stuff privately. So figure it out. I don't want anyone else picking up on those vibes. Sometimes it's hard for me to fix my face. I'll be real.
Goes back to that RBF.
Yes. Yeah, good times. I'm glad you remember that. My husband does too. But yeah, no, I try not to fight with him in public. And if we do fight in public, it's usually about something stupid. Like me criticizing how he's driving, or, put your blinker on, stupid stuff like that.
What was when you did the poll? Remind me of the stupidest fight that person mentioned when they were driving.
Oh, somebody said over missing an exit driving. I was laughing so hard at that because, we've all been there.
Yeah, and I think my response to that was, and if you haven't been there, you've definitely been in the, why are you going this way? Why did you turn right and not left? This isn't the fastest way. Nick and I get into those really stupid conversations almost every time we're in the car.
Precisely, actually. And coming home from the holidays, Mike drove and he was hauling ass, like speeding. Traffic was thick. I'm sitting in the backseat with the baby, and I just told him, I was like, we are in no rush. Like, yes, I want to get home. You want to get home, but I also want to get home alive in one piece. And that is speeding and weaving through traffic like you're losing a game of Mario Kart. Like, those are our fights. Because I feel like my driving went from little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, little grandma in the beginning, to now I have a child in the car and slow your roll. It's okay if you're 5 minutes late as long as, you make it there safely is my thought process. So some of the other things that our listeners were telling us that they had stupid fights about with their spouse was when you move an item out of its normal place and you like banter back and forth, like, I didn't touch this. And then you're like, oh, a ghost touched it and moved it. It wasn't me. I've definitely had a million fights like that. Or what about a fight about fighting and you don't even remember why you were fighting in the first place? Because that has happened many a times.
Oh yeah, I get so mad when we get into a stupid fight and then that we got into a stupid fight and then we'll fight about why we're fighting and then I'll just be so grumpy that like we sunk so low. You know what I'm saying? Like how could we have
Exactly.
gotten ourselves in this position? Yeah, it's so stupid.
Exactly. A couple other standout funny ones was eating my candy when I was pregnant. Totally relatable. This goes back to my husband eating my leftovers out of the fridge, and I clearly wanted my leftovers from the restaurant that I ordered my leftovers from, and I didn't want you taking bites out of my food. Um, a lot of little things that don't mean anything now. That was a couple of the responses. Lots of things out of your control. That's a hard one. Mostly the you said this and no, I didn't say that. I told Mike, I was like, we need cameras in our house because
Rewind it back.
exactly rewind. I want you to know. Um, oh my gosh, this is another funny one. Noises like singing and tapping or shaking their feet. I hate when Mike shakes his leg. Like he'll lay in bed and like shake his leg partially off the side of the bed, but it shakes the whole bed and it is so
I'm
aggravating.
I'm such a bitch. I've literally looked at Nick and go, "Why are you chewing so loud?" I'm such an asshole. So like we've got even to that where it's like, "Why are you making noises that I don't like?" He's just trying to eat dinner. Give him a
Preach.
break.
Exactly. Okay, so what do you and Nick fight about the most?
Probably two things. Well, one for a long time we would fight about the most was walking the dogs. Constantly, we would fight about walking the dogs. We don't really fight about that so much anymore. The other thing that we used to fight about a ton, and it still creeps up every now and then, but we've gotten way better, is doing the floors because we both hate doing the floors because we've got 3 dogs. So it's a chore, a legitimate chore to do the floors. And I'm also, I don't know that I'm particular or just pay slightly closer attention to detail when it comes to cleaning, but Nick would like to sweep the floors, and that doesn't do what you need it to do. So I would say, "Oh, Nick, could you do the floors?" And then he would sweep them, and then I would explode because in my mind, like sweeping the floors is not doing the floors. You've just like, you know,
You still got to mop and like
you've like
vacuum and do all the things.
yeah, you've just paused the problem from getting bigger, but you haven't actually tackled the problem. Like you've just moved the dust around. It doesn't really actually do all that much. So then that would be a fight we would get into. But now how we've handled that is like he'll be like, how about you vacuum the floors and I'll Swiffer them? Cause he's way better at Swiffering. I don't pay very close attention to Swiffering. I'm just like, fuck it, get it on there. And he doesn't really want to do the vacuuming. So we'll sometimes split it like that. Or yesterday, culmination of all the things I just said, I was like, can you come walk the dogs with me? And he was like, how about you go walk the dogs and I'll do the floors because it's easier to do when they're not here. And I said, damn, checkmate. That was really good. So that's what we did.
Look at that little problem solver.
Yeah.
But also, do you have an automatic vacuum, like a little robot that goes around your house?
No, I worry that it wouldn't. I mean, they're really, if I could trial one, that would be helpful. But I worry because our house is not super big and I worry that it would hit all the legs. Like there's so many legs on everything. Like our couch has a ton of legs, our side, like I just worry that it wouldn't actually be that efficient, that it would keep, I don't know. I should try one.
You should try one. Obviously, I don't have pets. But I swear our vacuum that we've nicknamed Dusty does a pretty good job. And it bounces off of like walls and
Everything.
things. So, yeah, you should look into that.
What about you and Mike? What do you fight about the most?
Um so as of lately, it's been a lot of baby stuff. I'm a stay-at-home mom And so I'm with the baby like 24/7, and I'm the primary parent. I'm breastfeeding, all of those things. And for me, I have like had a conversation with him. Is like, even though I'm a stay-at-home mom, it doesn't mean like I'm a single parent type thing, and that, my hours are this to this, because my hours are 24/7. And I just like, I need to find time for myself in the day without the baby to feel like a normal human being again, because I don't interact with a lot of people. So just scheduling that time that he can help me with the baby, or the baby's sleeping and I can do something for me. It's been such a work in progress. We've come so far. Babies just change your whole world. Um, and I asked Mike this question too. I was like, what do you think we fight about the most? And he said, not making enough time for us. And then he said, well, that sounds pretty bad. But it's kind of true. It's so hard when your life in the beginning kind of starts revolving around a baby. I think pre-baby, we and we probably fought about chores, like who's going to do what. Mike hates grocery shopping. I hate laundry. Mike does all the laundry. I grocery shop and meal plan. Lots of just trying to figure out each other's strengths and weaknesses so that you can be more efficient and effective as a couple in your household, I think is really important with this kind of stuff. Um, a lot of our listeners' responses for this was finances, because there's always a project, even parenthood, and, balancing the parenting load. Someone else said that they fight about each other's families, and then the other person being in a bad mood. And
Well, the thing about even parenthood too is like I think a universal problem, like the issue that is invisible labor that isn't talked about, is real, and I think just becomes probably even more exaggerated when you have kids or a bigger household or more responsibilities. And I like what you said too about, I think sometimes we think things have to be down the middle equal. And I don't think that that's right. I think finding the things that you don't mind doing and then the things that your partner doesn't mind doing and starting there and then negotiating maybe the things that you both hate doing is a more equitable and like a less high resistance way to like get things done. So like you don't mind food shop. I don't mind food shopping. I would food shop, no problem. But and I actually don't mind doing house laundry. I would do that, but I really don't like to do certain other things. So it's I like what you said about that in your relationship.
yeah, I also think that being 50-50 is not really fair. And especially if you had an off day, there's got to be like a flag that you can wave saying, hey, this isn't my best day. I need you to like kind of pick up my slack because I'm not doing well in this area. I think that that's important as well. Um, so according to my good friend Google, the top things that you fight about with your spouse are number one, intimacy. So sex, initiating, making time for one another. Two is money, budgeting, who's spending more, frivolous spending, saving. Three, your kids, and that goes into that parenting, splitting parenting jobs and roles. Four is your timing. So I think that goes back to the conversation that we were having earlier. And hey, I'm ready to leave. You're not ready to leave. And also, this goes into timing of when are you going to have kids, or when are you going to get engaged? When are you going to get married? Like those kind of big milestone type timelines. As well as number four was timing. Five is chores, like the splitting of the chores. And then the last one is your in-laws and each other's families.
Yeah, I think we hit on a couple of those, and I think we've probably all had fights that hit one of those, probably all of those elements.
Okay. So what's something that you have figured out in your relationship that maybe wasn't working so great, but you found a better way to problem solve?
So for me, or for us, it goes back to what I was saying before about I don't think everything has to be straight 50-50 down the middle, finding things that you don't mind doing, that your partner doesn't mind doing, and then finding the things maybe that you both hate, which is where we have found something that works for us. Our dogs will get us up between like 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. There was a period of time even they were getting us up earlier than that. And we both hate it. We would dread getting up. We would kind of like low key fight about it every morning. And so we just implemented, we alternate every single day. We alternate who gets up and does it. And that has worked for us. And it's even become like a bartering chip. So if one of us wants something, we'll be like, oh, I'll do this for you. I'll do this for you, or you do this for me, and I'll feed the dog like 2 days in a row for you, or I'll feed the dogs all weekend or something like that. And so that has worked really well. The only hitch in that is that 9 times out of 10, I can't remember what morning is mine. So we'll have to talk about it at night, like the night before. And like, there'll be times I'm like laying in bed at like 6 o'clock in the morning going, is it my morning? But yeah, other than that, it really works.
So basically, you need a jumbo chart, like with a sticky note that you just move back and forth of whose turn it is. Nick, Nichole, Nick, Nichole. That's
Yes.
hilarious. I'm gonna go with the no pets, no problems over
Ugh,
here
yeah.
because, I don't have that problem, but I do have a baby. So
The other thing, real fast, you do have a baby, which is not the same, but similar issues of who does things, maybe. But the thing I was going to say about pets is I recently heard that they did this study, and people who had dogs were 40-ish% less likely to get dementia. So maybe do get a dog. Just
shoot.
saying.
I just don't want all the dog hair everywhere.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
What
gosh.
about you and Mike? What's something you have figured out?
So I have two things that we've kind of figured out. One of the big things for me, and this is probably another one of our stupid fights that I didn't share before. I totally picked this up from my dad about loading the dishwasher a specific way because you want to load the dishwasher effectively so that you can fit a maximum amount of dishes and make it worth the detergent and your time and all of this. So for us, I do most of the grocery shopping and the meal prepping and the cooking. Mike was the Uber Eats DoorDash king when I first started dating him. And I was like, dude, you spend so much money eating out that no, I just can't, I can't do that. No. And also, I gained weight. I like looked like a balloon when I first started dating him too, because you eat out so much. So we implemented a couple years ago, whoever cooks doesn't have to clean. Mike hates dishes in the sink overnight, and I don't really care as long as you rinse them, because if you let the stuff get crusty on there, oh, game over. We gonna fight. But if you rinse it, I'm fine. It can sit overnight. And it turned into a thing when we moved in together, and we just had to figure out the system, and it works pretty great for us, especially because I do most of the cooking, so that means he's doing a lot of dishes. But even with since having a baby, we kind of just know that it needs to get done too. So whoever's not with the baby at that moment hops in and helps each other out. Um, chores, man, you just kind of have to have a game plan. So that's something we figured out. And then this is another really big thing that we have figured out over the years. A couple years ago, we started relationship chats. And you're like, oh, what is a relationship chat, Caitlin? On Sunday nights, because both of us were working and we wanted to kind of set the tone for the week, we would sit together and kind of just recap the week. What went well, what didn't go well, how you could help each other more that week, something that maybe pissed you off that week that you want to work at, different things like that we started implementing on Sunday nights just to like set the good tone for the week. And I really think it changed our relationship for the better. Having a safe place that you could talk to each other calmly. Some weeks, like we would say, I don't have anything to talk about this week, but this is what my week's going to look like coming up, just so you know, because Mike works at home, and I was leaving the house trying to sync up on activities, but also, hey, it really made me mad when you left the toilet seat up the other day. Can you please put it down? Like, dumb stuff like that. And of course, more serious things about, hey, I feel like we're passing ships this week. I haven't seen you at all. Can we like make some time for us and, put our phones away, not watch Netflix and like go do an activity? I just think that communication, it has helped our communication. And that seems to be one of the biggest areas that couples fight about is communication. It has helped so much by having that time set aside every single week to just kind of do a relationship temperature check.
Yeah, I really like that. I also think one way that Nick and I have done some things, like when you were talking about like chores and stuff, the other thing that is sort of similar to what you're talking about is like just the more we do things together, the less we have to fight about. Because then it's not about like, oh, I did this. And for a long time, I kept tally and it was not helpful. And then realizing that it's like shitty. You like feel shitty if you're the person keeping tally. And then when you choose to illuminate that tally to your spouse, like they feel really shitty too. So it's just a really bad way to do things. And so like that's another thing that we have done that works, which to me is sort of similar to your Sunday chats. It's like coming together. So like if we need to clean the house, it's just like, oh, we're cleaning the house on Saturday. We have to clean the house whenever we go out of town. So like now that's like kind of a weird little pet peeve of mine. It's like I have to leave my house clean. And so Nick knows like the day before we leave town, like we are cleaning and we just do it together. And then there's nothing to fight about because we did it together. So that's kind of a nice
That's
hack
good.
too.
Yeah, I won't lie. Sometimes in relationships you can tit for tat, and I definitely do that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I don't got much more nice things to say about that, but I definitely need to work on that because it's hard. It's so hard sometimes. Like I did it last time, you do it,
Yeah.
especially over diapers and dishes and laundry, and there's so many things.
The other thing is when you were talking about the dishwasher, it's just funny how these things can play out in your relationship. Like Nick just like won't even do the dishwasher. He's like, you can do it. He just like has removed himself from the point of contention because I'm the same way where I'm like, who loaded this? What were you thinking? And it will become a thing. And he just like doesn't. He's like, nope, you just do it. I'll hand you the dishes. Like sometimes we'll do that. He'll like, wash the dishes that can't go in the dishwasher, and then he'll rinse the dishes that can. But he's like, but I'm going to hand them to you to load because I'm not touching the dishwasher. And I'm like, that works.
See, that would not work for us because our kitchen, just how it's set up too, like you're in an awkward spot, this, that, and the other. I won't lie. I open the dishwasher and see that he just put his coffee mug like directly smack dab in the middle on the top. And I'm like, what are you doing? There's lanes. There's like, it's like a bowling alley. Like there's a specific spot.
People that put their things in the middle of the lane, get out of here. That's insane to me. What were you thinking?
That goes back to your dog beds of being in your pathway. I get it.
Yes. Caitlin, tell me, what is a relationship? Let's leave our listeners with funny. What is a relationship quirk that you want to share?
Well, Nichole. So when I come in from the house, a lot of times you walk by a table in my house and then you go into the kitchen. But a lot of times I have my cup and my purse and all this stuff. So I kind of just throw it all down on the counter and I'll resort it all afterwards. But Mike has sunglasses and he always leaves his sunglasses in his wallet on the side table. And it drives me crazy because his sunglasses, this table's not very large when you come in. It's like a small little side table and we have a little fake plant there and a cute little sign. And I always hang Mike's sunglasses up on a hook where our keys are, and he every single time without fail takes them down off of there, and it drives me insane. Like, also, why can't you just keep your sunglasses in your truck when you're going to be in your truck 24/7? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. It drives me crazy. That's one of like the stupid things that I can think of.
So wait, let me ask you. He takes them off the hook and then puts them on the teeny tiny table?
Yes. So we have 3 like boat type anchor hooks hanging up over our little side table, and one of them is his set of keys, one of them is our mail key, and then the other one I hang his sunglasses on. Does he use the hook for the sunglasses? No.
Why doesn't he like the hook? Have you talked to him about this?
Well, he has nice sunglasses and he's afraid of them falling or like getting scratched or, and I think he just likes them on the table. Weird. I know.
Okay.
What about you?
Oh, I have a funny one. Although, and I also want to validate, Nick and I do the same thing. Same roles. We have a table by the door. He doesn't like to put his things there. He likes to put them on every other surface. And I go behind him when he comes home from work and I gather up all of his things and put them by the door and then make show of it. Nick, look where I put your things, where they belong. So that's fun. We do that like every day. But the quirk, something funny I actually only realized a couple of weeks ago that we do that we've never talked about is, so we have two bathrooms in our house, the master and then the spare. And we like both use the spare because sometimes it's more convenient or somebody is in the master, whatever. So I have noticed two things. Whenever I go into the bathroom, I know Nick has been in the bathroom. Two ways I know this. He will take the bath mat I keep it hung up. So we have two bath mats. I keep one hung on the tub because you take it off when you're ready to shower and you put it there. And then there's just like a pretty one that is always there. He will take the one off the tub for his feet when he's on the toilet, I imagine. So every single time I will walk in and be like, well, Nick has been here because the bath mat is off the tub railing, and I'll put it back. And then the other way I know he's been in there is I like to keep the shower curtain on the outside of the tub because it looks nicer. And he will always tuck it on the inside of the tub. And I'm like, why? So we just go back and forth out of this bathroom, removing the shower curtain and the bath mat. And we never talk about it. We never talk about how this is what we're doing. But we do multiple
I'm
times a week.
I'm gonna need you guys to talk about this and figure out what the heck is going on because that is wild to me. Wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it could also go to show you that, like, you can be particular and you don't always need to have a whole fight about it. You can just, pull the shower curtain out. It's fine.
See, and that's kind of something that I've just told Mike. I was like, listen, if you like it a certain way and I don't really care about it, then you're just going to have to go fix it after I do it. Like, he doesn't like the way I fold his shirts sometimes. And I'm like, if you want me to do the laundry, you're not going to question how I'm going to fold it because it's done and it's put in your drawer. Who cares? He works from home. You see like his neck up on phone calls. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Oh my gosh. Well, this was eye-opening. I love to hear people's quirks and funny fight. I think we're all on the same boat. We've all thought about one of these things that we've mentioned easily.
Yes, being in a relationship is just wild. And I think that I also think about this where I think you will treat your spouse in a way that you wouldn't treat other people because I think you're willing to show your ass in a different way in a relationship and fight about shit that you would probably never fight with another person about. So I think in some ways this is universal.
Yes. Yes. Like Mike likes to remind me all the time, we're on the same team. And, he has my back. We are very different people when it comes to chores and how we like things. But you just gotta sometimes either step up and just do it the way you want to do it, or shut up and not complain about how your spouse did it. At least that's what I've learned.
Just be happy it's done.
Exactly.
Move on.
Could be half-assed done, but Oh my gosh. Well, stop what you're doing right now and listen up. If you're feeling this podcast, then here's a few things we need from you. Find and follow us on Instagram at Solicited the Podcast. Rate and review this episode. Feel free to share with us anything you've got about these topics that we talk about. And email us anything you want us to talk about and cover, or any feedback you might have at solicitedthepodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you guys next week.